Hey, Zach.
Hey,
Nice to be back. Hey,
be back. Yes.
hello everyone, and nice to be back here on stage two, Asia time zone. Um, Next up, we have David Leichner with what CMOs are looking for in a website in 2021. David Leichner is responsible for creating and executing static marketing strategy and managing the marketing team that forms the foundation of Static's market penetration. David has over 25 years of marketing and sales executive management experience, garnered from leading enterprise software vendors, including Information Builders, Magic Software, Blue Phoenix Solutions, and most recently as CMO of SQReam Technologies. He has developed and managed a dozen enterprise websites over the last 20 years, mostly with WordPress. David, stage is yours.
Discover Weglot, the simple translation solution for your website. All you have to do is add Weglot to your website. Select the languages that you need, and that's it. Your website is now available in multiple languages.
To put it simply, plugins power WordPress. But when a plugin fails, so does your site. With fully managed WordPress hosting from Nexus, you get carefully curated plugins that will save you from having to search the plugin database to find the right tools. And you'll never have to worry about managing or updating plugins again. Start building a site that loads ultra fast with instant auto scaling, visual comparisons, plus automatic plugin updates and platform updates. With fully managed WordPress from Nexus, better is built in.
Here at Green Geeks, WordPress works awesome. We offer a one-click installer with automatic updates, tons of developer tools like WP Staging, WP CLI, and Git, free WordPress migration, and access to award-winning expert support 24/7, 365. Plus, WordPress sites hosted on our platform are lightning fast. Most importantly, Green Geeks is the most eco-friendly WordPress web hosting company on the planet.
Good morning, everyone.
and welcome to What CMOs Are Looking For in a Website in 2021. My name is David Leichner. I'm the CMO at Stratic, and it's really great to be here at WordFest 2021. And you've seen already a bunch of amazing sessions, and I'm going to try to take you through a different type of session because I'm not coming at it from the technology side. I'm coming at it more from, let's say, the stakeholder side. So I'm a CMO who's been around for the last 25 years. I've had many websites that have been developed, in various technologies, mostly in WordPress, and we do love WordPress. And what I'd like to do is give you an idea of what it is that, we as chief marketing officers, VP marketings, what we're looking for from our websites in 2021. And you might be a little bit surprised with what you're going to see, and it might raise some questions. So let's have the Q&A at the end, and jot them down if you have any questions, and I'm certainly happy to take them either at the end of the session or in the community tent where Stratic has a table. So let's just jump right in. So first of all, digital marketing is leading the way, and I'm sure this is not a surprise to anyone. What might be a surprise is the fact that this change from, let's say, traditional marketing to digital marketing to online marketing has really taken hold also at the management level. And 36% of digital marketing leaders are now holding the title of CMO. And in total, 85% hold the title of vice president or higher. So this is coming from the Gartner organization, from a report that they came out with, Gartner for Marketeers. Digital shakes up marketing strategy and tactics. And it's going to be interesting to see, what we can learn from this. So one of the interesting things that we can see here are the different channels that are being used to support the digital strategy. So in the survey that Gartner came out with, you can see that from the point of view of building awareness, of building brand, of generating leads, demand gen, we can see that social marketing and digital advertising are actually the number one and number two channels that are being used. And we can see that the website has actually come down a little bit in the level of importance, maybe, for supporting digital strategy. And I'm not sure that that's actually true, that it's come down in the level of importance, but I think what the whole basis of the change in digital strategy today is that we're actually going out and looking for our customers where they are, and we're not expecting them to have to come in to us, to our website, to visit us in our domain. And I think that's the change we're going to see. But when it comes to what is actually still the front or the face or the front door of the company, there's no question in my mind still, as a marketeer, that this is still the website. So it's interesting to see here 54% for social marketing, 53% for digital advertising, event marketing, and email marketing, search engine optimization, mobile marketing, and all of the rest. So this is quite interesting. It's interesting to see that at the bottom we have the direct mail. I grew up on direct mail, and even still, I'll do some campaigns now and then where I'll send out something to, a bunch of chief information officers or other, let's say, high-level management members of a company, because I know it gets to their desk and it's not loaded up with another, 50 emails that they have to go through. And I've actually seen some really good response rates, but we'll put that aside because that is not the topic for today's discussion. So if we look at historically what was lead generation, we can see that the past objective of lead generation was primarily, how do I get high quality traffic coming to my website? What were the different mechanisms that I used, whether it was social media with links back to my website, whether it was email marketing, whether it was, a bunch of those different categories and channels that we saw in the previous slide. This was the main goal of, getting people, getting prospects, getting leads to come to my website. But that's actually changed. And, if we look at what's going on today, we can see there's a really big question that was asked by Parachute Digital Marketing. Thank you. And that was, is the website still the center of digital strategy? Now, as we saw from the Gartner survey, not so sure that that's the case. So if we look here, you can see that, in the past, the website on the left side was the center of our marketing activities, and we would, research and identify people. We'd get feedback, we'd adjust, we'd plan, we'd do whatever we had to in order to get them into the website, search engine optimization, social media, pay-per-click ads, and then we would measure the success rate, the conversion rates, and we would report on that. But as I mentioned, that's actually changing a little bit, and really now what we're looking to do is to go out to where it is that the customers reside, where it is that our potential, leads or prospects reside. So, what we're looking to do is we're looking to go out to influencers, to potential audiences, media, and so on. And we're trying to get them to write something about us in some kind of an article on so let's say if we're talking about the WordPress community, so we might want to go out and we might want to have, one of the influencers, Chris or whatever, Matt, we might want to have something written for one of the, the newsletters that's very popular. And it could be that they will then contact us directly without even going to the website, by email or by whatever, by LinkedIn or, one of the other social media platforms, and come to us directly and maybe even bypass the website. Or it could be that we'll take them back into the website. So there are all kinds of, strategies today that are based on branded distribution, syndicated distribution, article publishments, sponsorships, sponsoring newsletters, sponsoring, all kinds of different sites. And basically, putting the company in front on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, whatever it is. And in that sense, we are then going out to the customer, and we will be invoking some kind of emotional response that we want to get them back. So either they're very excited about the prospect of working, together with us, or, somehow we're stimulating something in their own personal being that will get them to do and to make some kind of reaction. So if we want to keep the website as the center of our marketing universe, it's critical that we will provide good content. Now, when I say we should provide good content, I'm talking about all levels of content, whether it's, ebooks or white papers or other types of written content, or videos, how-to videos, videos explaining something that might be just educational. It might not have anything to do with, the particular product that I'm selling, but it's something educational. Or maybe it's a podcast that's talking about something that, would tie into, the product or service that I'm offering, but maybe it wouldn't be a direct, it wouldn't have a direct attachment or a direct interface into the product that I'm selling. So you can see here, this was a behavior survey that was put out by HubSpot. And so they were looking at the current use, and they were looking at 2 years before. And if you look here, you can see that, for example, read my Facebook feed and click interesting articles and videos. There's been an incredible increase in also the use of Facebook as a means to market, and also the customers have gotten used to, or the community, the population has gotten used to clicking on Facebook in order to get interesting articles or videos. So the content has probably gotten better, and also the people have gotten used to it. The same thing with search engines, the same thing with going directly to a publisher's web publication's website, mobile notifications, specific blogs. So what we're seeing here is that people are more inclined to click through if they believe they're going to get relevant content. They will click through, and they will then access that mechanism, that marketing mechanism, in order to get the content that they want. So how do we make sure that our website is the center of the marketing universe? How do we make sure that the website is the center of the community? We have to make sure that there is good content. And that is, years ago, they would say that content is king. Okay, so years ago, content is king. Now content is the kingdom. It's everything. And you must have excellent content on your site. So, and by the way, one of the things that, this will relate to, obviously, in the WordPress community is the ability to quickly make sure that you have this content, to make sure you can update the content, to make sure you can, put landing pages in, to make sure you can gate it if you want to gate it, to give, to have all kinds of ways of tracing back, to the origins, or not, or just giving people the ability to come in and to read your content. And hopefully in that way, they will get used to coming to your site, whether it's a product site or a services site, or just a media site or a news site of some sort. And then you will be driving that traffic back to your site. So one of the things that you must have when you are creating your site, and again, here we're talking about, obviously we're working with WordPress and creating our websites. It really doesn't matter actually what system it is that you're going to be using, what development environment is that you're going to be using in order to create your website. What you need to do is you need to ensure that you have a clean and concise brand story backed up by relevant content. So here, for example, this is the Stratic homepage, and you can see very clearly that what we have is we have a website where we are providing static and headless WordPress in one click. And it says on the next line, static WordPress has never been easier. Host your WordPress site on Stratic and get a fast, secure, and scalable static site. So I think it's quite clear from this, what it is that we're branding. We're branding a product, an all-in-one platform that can provide static and headless WordPress. And we are doing this in a way that you are able to then boost your performance. You can have bulletproof security, and you are able to have infinite scalability. So, this is a very clean and concise homepage. You need to provide content that will be relevant for your community. So here you can see that, for example, we're providing a resources page on Stratic that will add value. So whether we're talking about, introducing Stratic just so you know what it is that the product is, or, if we want to talk about Jamstack, for example. So you can see here that we have a video with Jeff Escalante from HashiCorp, and Sean Davis from StackBit, and Brian from StepZen, and of course Miriam Schwab, the CEO of Stratic, and Ishan from Layer0. And they're debating what Jamstack is, and and the future of Jamstack. So this is actually a very product neutral type of piece of content, a video, where we're providing good information about Jamstack. And then, of course, if you want to see, the types of things that that Stratic is able to do, we're providing also, we're providing real-time user stories about the Data Wrapper, for example, which achieved 275% faster page load after they moved to Stratic. So just an example of the types of things that, that have to be provided. Okay. So we talked about content. We talked about the fact that the website is no longer the only center of activity of your digital marketing. So let's talk a little bit about what our CMO is looking for in a website in 2021. So I'm part of a global CMO organization, and I asked my colleagues to, it was kind of an informal survey just to get an idea of what are the things that are concerning them. What are the things that they are looking for in a website in 2021? So let's have a look. So first of all, and some of you might not like to hear this, flexibility and control. So the marketeers, they want to be able to do things themselves. They're, and I'm sure, by the way, that, the developer community don't want to run and make small changes for the marketeers. They much prefer if the marketeers will do a lot of the things on their own. So, when we're thinking about flexibility and control, it's a two-edged sword, because on one side, you have the marketers and you have them wanting to make small changes or maybe even bigger changes to the website. And they don't want to have to come to the developer. And a lot of times developers are doing more than one thing. And so they might not have the time immediately to make their changes and so on. So you want to be able to give some kind of flexibility and control to the marketers. On the other side, I have seen so many cases where I will have somebody come running to me and say, "You don't know what I just did. I think I just brought down the whole website." And, with one little change or one little update to the plugin, they basically caused a major problem to the website. And then the developer had to come running. So it wasn't the marketer running to the developer, but it was the developer running to the marketer, because, the CEO or the VP HR started yelling, "I can't get my career page up, and I'm not able to promote the jobs that I'm trying to hire for," and so the developer had to come running. So when we think about flexibility and control, and this I say to my marketing colleagues, it has to be done very carefully, and it has to be done in sync with the developers and with the people who are maintaining the site, to make sure that you're able to make sure that you're not going to take down the site, or cause them any kind of major problems. Okay, what else are the CMOs looking for? So as you know, Google has come out with a lot of talk about the importance of core web vitals. And basically marketers now, they want to have the best core web vitals that they can. And this is because, they're told that this will help them with search engine optimization and conversion rates, as well as placing higher in organic, Google searches. And not only that, but, the sensitivity of the online community to sluggish loading pages, they have no patience for it. So if a page is going to load very slowly, or even a little bit slowly, or even 5 seconds, it could be that you will lose a significant amount of the visitors to your site. So you have to ensure that you have a good LCP rating, a good first input delay rating, and your CLS ratings need to be good as well. The other thing is brand protection. So, I think that every company, every enterprise has either been attacked in some way, or is on the list of being attacked, or they're just not interesting. So, DDoS attacks basically just stop the ability for people that you want to come to your website to get to your website. Ransomware, they come in, they get into your backend server, and they just basically shut it down, and they require you to send in Bitcoins or some other method of payment in order to have your code back and in order to be back up and running. So, not to talk about, things like SQL injections, and there are so many different issues that exist with security for websites. WordPress is an amazing environment, but because it's built on a core that has many plugins and themes around it, there are issues or potential issues. And those issues, may have less to do with WordPress than it does to do with the developers who have to, or the developers or the maintenance techs who have to constantly be ensuring that upgrades to plugins or upgrades to themes or other entry points into your website are secure. And generally, in my past, in a past company that I worked for, where I was talking to security officers on a regular basis, I was in a cyber company. One of the last places they thought about for for having to secure was the website. So they always thought about the networks, they always thought about the endpoints, they always thought about making sure you had your firewalls up, but the website, that's kind of like in marketing, and so it's not like front and center on the priority list. And in too many cases, we've seen brands that have been seriously damaged. We've seen websites that have come down at critical times. We had actually a company that came to us. They were in the process of going public on the stock exchange, and their website went down because they were being attacked. And this was really, really bad for them. It was a good thing that we were able to help them, and we were able to help them get back up very quickly. So, just as an aside, one of the things we do at Stratic is you could call it security incident response or downtime incident response. And we're able to help, companies that have gone down, that their websites have gone down, and help them to get them back up and running, pretty quickly. So this is another thing, is brand protection. So, we talked about the fact that you need to have your Google Core Web Vitals, with the best possible ratings as you can. You need to have, your brand protection, and you need to have the flexibility to work on your website, and that the developers can work together with you to ensure that, number one, you have your flexibility. Number two, that you're safeguarding the fact that somebody will not inadvertently bring down the site. So the solution for some basic WordPress challenges. So we have, first of all, security. So just to, kind of like recap. So for security, we have many entry points in the deployed site. They get hit with DDoS attacks, brute force attacks, outdated core themes, plugins, leave, gaping holes. And, these are the things, some of the things that people need to look out for. Performance issues. So performance, it's very simple. It hurts SEO ratings, it hurts conversion rate optimization, and it hurts the perception that you have vis-a-vis the person who came to visit you at your site. We always say that first impressions matter the most. Well, think of the first impression when somebody hits the button and just waits. They will probably leave your site, or they won't think that you're a serious company, or that you're a serious media site, or whatever. And, there are issues with not having a CDN in place. We actually helped a company that it was actually a university that they found that there was tremendous downtimes in certain countries, and they couldn't understand why. And we helped them to ensure 100% uptime in all of the countries that they were active in across the world. And then we have maintenance. So maintenance is a whole nother issue, having to choose and manage a security solution, having to choose and manage a CDN solution, having to update plugins and themes on a regular basis, and to ensure that they're on the latest releases, having to make sure that they don't mess up your site. I mean, how many times have we, we put in a new plugin and we found that things went wonky on the site, right? Having to maintain it and test and deploy, and of course to troubleshoot the performance issues, which we just talked about. So just 2 words about static and headless WordPress in one click. So Stratic has come out with an all-in-one platform, which I'm sure some of you have already heard about. And this platform enables you to work with the same WordPress that you've used in the past. And what we know how to do is we know how to take the WordPress site, and when you publish in Stratic, you publish for static in Static. What happens is that we will then take all of the existing WordPress pages and we will convert them into static pages. And at that point, two things happen. Number one, you could say we kind of move to the side. We kind of eliminate the need for the back end. So when hackers are coming into your site, they will not have a back end to attack. Not only that, but once you have published your site, we put WordPress to sleep. So we don't have it up and running, and WordPress will be sleeping. So also then the hackers will not be able to get in and get to even the development environment. So from a security point of view, you really are pretty much bulletproof. As I mentioned, so we are going to take those pages and turn them into static and headless pages. So when it comes time for deployment, when it comes time that somebody visits your website, performance increase will be huge. So at load, we can increase 50 times. We've had companies, I'll show you a few of those as we go in, just to see what kind of benefits you can get to on the performance side. So we have excellent security, we have excellent performance improvements, and we also have excellent page load when you need it most, which is when you have a lot of traffic coming in to your website and you need to really scale very quickly. So what does the all-in-one WordPress hosting provide? So first of all, we instantly transform WordPress websites to static and headless, Jamstack architecture, bulletproof security. So we decouple the live site from WordPress, blazing performance. So we have the pre-rendered HTML, which is fully served on the CDN. And this is something that we do within our platform. So you don't have to do that. So you don't have to deal with that maintenance side of deployment. And of course, we have the infinite scalability. So let's see what is some of the CMOs think. So this is a company called Payoneer. Now, some of you may know that Payoneer recently did an IPO to the stock exchange in New York. And, it was really great to see that they were doing this IPO on a website that was a Stratic website. So migrating our WordPress websites from our previous hosting to Stratic immediately increased our site speed significantly. This contributed to lowering our bounce rate, increasing our conversion rates, and also helped improve our SEO. I highly recommend Stratic. So we had a very significant improvement in conversion rates, and they were able to, in their words, bring thousands of new customers just from that conversion rate change. Thousands of new customers just from being able to increase by a couple of points the conversion rate. And this, they said, was due to the change to Stratic. Then we have a company called Honeybook that you might have heard of. And Daron said, I highly recommend Stratic, especially if you'd like your site to be super fast, you don't want it to be hacked, and prefer to focus on your product. Pavel from Resident. Every second counts when delivering content in terms of lowering bounce rate and increasing conversion rates. Again, we talked about content in the beginning, how critical it is to have relevant content, but that's not enough. You have to be able to provide that content extremely quickly, and you need to be able to provide that content in a very fast way that people will want to read. So on Stratic, the static pages are fast out of the box without having to change one line of code. And David, he said that our WordPress site is business critical and we depend on it for generating leads. We considered investing in a brand new website, but decided to try Stratic instead. And we were amazed that our page load, it increased, the page load time was over 50% faster, and we didn't have the hassle of rebuilding the site. This is David from CoreLogics. And then we have from the United Nations. Now, the United Nations is a very interesting situation because the United Nations is an organization that is very concerned about being hacked. And the United Nations is the brand of the United Nations is extremely important, and it is it is a very, very front and center target for hackers trying to deface their website. Stratic provides a very elegant solution to the WordPress dilemma. And by providing the WordPress interface to editors and a static output for the resulting website, Stratic's innovative solution delivers on both security and speed. So you have here some very good examples of organizations, and you can see the statistics on our website at www.stratic.com. You can see in some cases we've helped to increase by 250%, as with Data Wrapper. The performance, we've helped to decrease the time it takes to load pages. We've helped organizations that want bulletproof security, and we've helped organizations that want, let's say, peace of mind at scale. Because as a marketer, when I have the most traffic coming into my site, I want to know that my website will stay firm, that I will be able to provide content immediately, and that I will not have downtime. I will not have downtime. This is, they say that the worst nightmare for a marketer is that when everybody is coming into their website in order to get the information that they want to provide about some very significant deal or some very significant product release, that this is the time that I need to make sure that my site is up and running. So I'd like to finish with, again, thank you very much for having me today. And of course, I'll be very happy to take any questions that you might have, either now or in the community tent. And please, come to Stratic, www.stratic.com. We'd like to offer you a free 30-day trial, and you can get that at app.stratic.com/signup. My email is david@stratic.com. If you have any feedback that you would like to give me directly, or if you have any questions or ideas or comments that you would like to provide. And thank you very much for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you throughout the event.
Here at Green Geeks, WordPress works awesome. We offer a one-click installer with automatic updates, tons of developer tools like WP Staging, WP CLI, and Git, free WordPress migration, and access to award-winning expert support 24/7, 365. Plus, WordPress sites hosted on our platform are lightning fast. Most importantly, Green Geeks is the most eco-friendly WordPress web hosting company on the planet.
Simply, plugins power WordPress. But when a plugin fails, so does your site. With fully managed WordPress hosting from Nexus, you get carefully curated plugins that will save you from having to search the plugin database to find the right tools. And you'll never have to worry about managing or updating plugins again. Start building a site that loads ultra fast with instant auto scaling, visual comparisons, plus automatic plugin updates and platform updates. With fully managed WordPress from Nexus, better is built in.
Discover Weglot, the simple translation solution for your website. All you have to do is add Weglot to your website. Select the languages that you need, and that's it. Your website is now available in multiple languages.
Wow.
Hi.
Hi.
Wow.
Good morning.
Hey, Dave.
Good
David,
morning,
that
good
was,
afternoon, good evening, good middle of the night, wherever you are.
yeah, good noon here in India. And David, that was a fantastic talk. A lot of learning there.
It really
And,
was.
yeah, really. So, Zach, before we get into talking with David, I just noticed that I'm just enjoying the live captioning on all the sessions. And so shout out to the amazing folks at SyncWords for making this live captioning possible, making this event of inclusion even more inclusive, more accessible. Thank you very much, SyncWords.
Yeah, thank you.
Over to you,
It's
Zach.
been great.
Yeah.
It's been absolutely great to see them trying to keep up with me talking. No, they're doing a great job, and their work is definitely appreciated. So, David, that was a lot of information. That was a very dense presentation full of great little pieces of information that I think even one of those pieces could change someone's trajectory, which is great.
Yeah, there was something that I didn't have in the presentation that I think is really important to mention, given the last year and everything that we've experienced with COVID and working from home. And I think teams are being even more distributed than they were before that across the world. And when we think about how we work, especially when we're updating our websites, if we have teams that, content teams that are working out of, let's say, New York, and you might have other people that are updating the site in Delhi, and you might have people throwing in some product information in Tel Aviv, or in Ireland, or wherever else. We have issues of conflicts between potentially, and this I've heard from other CMOs, that the marketeers don't get a chance to look at it before things go live. And if they don't have in place the proper staging mechanisms where they can actually go in and review what it is that is being updated on the site, they could wake up in the morning and find that there are things that they really don't want, or it's not in message, or it's not in brand, or maybe it's not even in line with corporate policy. So I think as we've experienced this this move to more distributed work out of homes, out of offices, hybrid. This is something that organizations really need to take into account, as they move forward with these different types of distributed environments.
Yeah, absolutely. I think consistency is really the key in most marketing efforts, right? So
consistency, staying on brand, even like having an extra set of eyes, looking at content, it's something that is really important. One of the things in Stratic that we offer is the ability to have a staging site, where it can be worked on in multiple locations, and then it can just be published. So it's something that we've seen. We've actually had several customers that came to work with our platform because of this specific issue. So yeah, I think also I mentioned SEO and Core Vitals. The Google's been coming out with a lot of discussion about Web Vitals now. It's almost like we're under the gun. We're marketeers that are under the gun by wonderfully big Google, and trying to keep up with all of the necessary performance ratings that we have to have in order to and this is something that companies are coming to us all the time saying, hey, I received a 49%, can you move me up to 70 or 80? We're like, hey, 70, 80, let's take you to 90, 100. It's no, but it's something that's really concerning to marketeers. And I think it's even more concerning than security, unfortunately. I say unfortunately because marketers tend not to think about security as much as maybe they should. So that's something I was trying to get through in the presentation, as well as the importance of security, because the last thing you want is to be held ransom or to have your site DDoSed when you don't have the proper protection in place to ensure that it doesn't happen, or it doesn't affect you if it does happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, with Core Web Vitals and all of those things, I have been fortunate enough to be able to know how to hit a 95 plus score without static, but it's not easy, right? And the tools make it harder every revision. So, and Google makes it harder every time they make a revision to their algorithm.
Yeah, there are some add-on solutions that you can use that, let's say, they know how to get around some of the issues in order to help. I think I won't mention names, but I think you know what I'm talking about.
I do. Yep.
And they have pluses and they do have minuses. So like every type of deployment, there are pluses and minuses. Even like with Stratic, companies that start working with our platform, they might find that we don't support a particular plugin because we are not able to convert it properly the way we need to, but we usually have a very good, replacement for that. So I don't think there's any one solution that's perfect for everyone. And even agencies that we talk to, we work with agencies that have many, many sites, and they'll come to Stratic and they'll say, okay, I have these 10 or 15 very security-minded organizations, and we would like to move our those sites to work on Stratic, or performance is a must and we can't have downtime. That's another thing is it's interesting to see how some companies are really concerned about downtime and other companies just aren't. So, we get these alerts when different websites go down, and then we'll contact some pretty high level people in the company, and they're like, yeah, we know. Okay. And then we'll contact another company and they'll say, what? We didn't know. We have to fix that. We can't have any downtime. And, so it's really interesting to see the differences. And you'd be surprised that some companies that you would think would be super sensitive to downtime, then they're just not as sensitive as you would think.
Right.
I don't quite get it, but,
Well, and you mentioned one of the largest drawbacks, I think, right now with going static is that with a static solution you have to be very careful about the plugins that you're using that create dynamic content, especially things like e-commerce. WooCommerce is huge. It's not going to be static anytime soon, right? But there are other solutions. I know you guys talk about Ecwid on your site, and talk about maybe using Shopify for the e-commerce portion, but it really does require a mindset where you're really thinking as a developer or a site builder about what plugins you're using.
Yeah, absolutely. So, with us, it's quite easy because we have a list on our website of all the plugins that we've tested that are supported, and we can get around almost any issue. Yeah, there are things like WooCommerce, which is something that we're looking at to see exactly how we're going to support the interface between the two, in the future. And but it's something definitely that's on our radar, no question. But the benefits that you can get just out of the box, also on the maintenance side. So we went to a company that I spoke to. I actually had some contact to the IT manager, and I spoke to him, and he said to me, "Yeah, we're just now looking at what CDNs to put in place," and I'm like, "Hey, go all in one with Stratic, and you don't have to even think about that. We handle that for you." So a lot of the maintenance issues go away. We had another company that told us that they were sharing a server with the R&D department. Because, if you're inside of a company and they say, "Oh, you know what, I'll give you a personal story." I was in a company, a very large company. I was VP marketing there, and I came into a management meeting and I said, "Okay, we're starting on the new website project." And the R&D manager, VP, he said to me, in front of everyone, he said, "Why aren't we doing this in Moldova with our R&D center there and the developers there?" And I said, "Because then I have to get onto your list, your priority list, and I'll get my website in a year and a half." And I'm using WordPress, and I have two guys who are developing it for me, and we're going to be up and running really quickly. And it turned out we were up and running really quickly. And when I came to show it off in the management meeting, he was sitting there and he said, "Okay, so let's do the maintenance in Moldova." He just wanted control over my site. And I just,
Right.
And I think this is something else that, and I mentioned it in, also that my colleagues, they don't want to have to go running, to the maintenance people. They don't have to go running to the external developers. They want to have as much control as possible over content and being able to make, let's say basic changes as, very quickly, because, it could be something that you want to give a special offer. Or it could be something that there's been a change in the business. You have to take somebody, whatever. You have to make some change, and you don't want to have to go running. And this is something that's really critical to the marketeers that I'm in touch with. So
Very cool.
Right. So David, a couple of points from my side, questions or points. Now you have you gave a lot of tips in your talk. It's packed with information. So as your site becomes indexes higher on Google, it becomes a target for security attacks, and people want to attack your site. So now what has happened is, before it was only developers' territory to think about the security. But now the marketers have to think about security too. So what would be a couple of advice from your side to the marketing department or marketing team to think about the security?
Yeah. So first of all, I mentioned the architecture. So I'm not going to pitch static, but just the architecture of a static environment is such that you have a front end, you don't have a back end to worry about, and your development environment goes to sleep. Like when you want to make a change in Stratic, so you simply bring it, you bring it alive. And if anybody has tried Stratic, they know that we have this couple of seconds of bringing the environment up. So your development environment is detached from your deployment environment. I came from I spent some time in two different situations. One working with startups that were in the cyber area, and I was also the VP marketing and sales in a cyber company. So one of the things that I always recommended was bring in a pen tester, and you don't have to bring in a penetration tester. So you don't have to bring in a pen tester who is like going to cost you $5,000 an hour, one of the top experts, but bring in someone that can do basic testing on your site and see how easy it is to break your site. And I worked with guys here in Tel Aviv that they could, their claim to fame was they could break anything. They could get into anything. And it didn't have to be just, just through the technology. There were all kinds of ways of getting in. I actually, it's interesting. There's a lot of news in these days about spyware and all that other stuff, but it's separate, completely different. And I think that's important is to have your IT department, have your web ops bring in someone that will check your site, and it's worth the investment because you could have some blaring holes there. If you're using Stratic, you'll have many less holes. In fact, you won't have any holes because we've checked the stuff ahead of time. But if you're using, let's say, standard WordPress, then bring in someone to do some pen testing and have them check the site.
Hey, thanks, David. That was a fantastic session. I think we are out of time or beyond our time, and we just really enjoyed your talk and the interaction. Zach, back to you.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. Awesome.
No problem. It was great having you, David. So we're going to take about a 4-minute break here. Before we do that, I just want to say thank you again to our global sponsors, Cloudways, Elementor, GoDaddy Pro, Green Geeks, Nexus, Stratic, and our multilingual partner, Weglot. Our live captioning sponsors, GiveWP and Paid Memberships Pro. Be sure to visit their tents and chat with them. There's prizes to be won over there as well. Don't forget to get your photos snapped in the photo booth brought to us by Content Journey and Stratic. Make sure to check out your swag bag as well for deals and gifts from all of our sponsors. And a huge thank you to our media partners and our micro sponsors. You all make our big orange hearts full. We'll see you in a minute.
See you. Hello again. Zach, I'm really enjoying this WordFest Live,
Yeah, it's
and
been a
it
lot of
just
fun.
keeps getting better. It's then the day is just getting better and better.
And
So
we've
now
reached the
next,
last hour of the Asia block.
yeah, yeah, just last hour of the Asia block, and I'm just enjoying more and more. Every passing minute is becoming better.
Now,
So next up, we have three lightning talks. So we have Dayal Kapunan, Imran Sayed, and Sumant Lohar.
yeah, so Dial's talk is maintaining authentic team bonds in a remote setting. Dial's a lawyer who's somehow found her way into helping build intuitive WordPress tools. She co-leads the fully remote team behind Stackable, Page Builder, Gutenberg blocks, and one of the first and most widely used custom block collections for Gutenberg.
Wow. Imran's talk is about building open web with decoupled WordPress and Gatsby using GraphQL. Imran is one of the speakers. I enjoy attending all his talks. You learn so much from Imran. Young man who can teach so much. Uh, Imran Sayed is a WordPress engineer at Articamp. He is also a WordCamp speaker and organizer, WordCamp India organizer, and a regular contributor to WordPress community. He is also a core contributor to WordPress and has a rich experience in Node, React, and Laravel. Apart from this, Imran has a passion for teaching and sharing knowledge, which led him to start his own YouTube channel where he teaches programming on WordPress, React, GraphQL, and Laravel. Openness and inclusiveness is something he really loves about WordPress community. As a hobby, he enjoys composing and doing his own rap. He's an amazing singer, and he has passion in photography.
Wow, that is one impressive resume. Sumant's talk is going to be leveraging your WordPress website with curiosity marketing. So Sumant Lohar is a hardcore tech blogger based in Ahmedabad and specializes in crafting content and social media strategies for various brands as well as startups. His core strength lies in Instagram marketing, a strength I don't have. Creativity, and apart from that, podcasting is in his new skill set. WordPress is a true inspiration for his blogging, which made him capable to play with creative words. He's also been a volunteer organizer at WordCamp in 2018, the Do Action Hackathon organizer, featured as a WordCamp India 2021 speaker, GoDaddy EMEA event speaker in 2021, WordPress meetup speaker, and always an active WordPress community member since 2017. Wow. These are very exciting. And we're going to do one right after the other here and have a Q&A session afterwards. So without further ado, here are our three lightning talks.
Here at Green Geeks, WordPress works awesome. We offer a one-click installer with automatic updates, tons of developer tools like WP Staging, WP CLI, and Git, free WordPress migration, and access to award-winning expert support 24/7, 365. Plus, WordPress sites hosted on our platform are lightning fast. Most importantly, Green Geeks is the most eco-friendly WordPress web hosting company on the planet.
Simply, plugins power WordPress. But when a plugin fails, so does your site. With fully managed WordPress hosting from Nexus, you get carefully curated plugins that will save you from having to search the plugin database to find the right tools. And you'll never have to worry about managing or updating plugins again. Start building a site that loads ultra fast with instant auto scaling, visual comparisons, plus automatic plugin updates and platform updates. With fully managed WordPress from Nexus, better is built in.
Discover Weglot, the simple translation solution for your website. All you have to do is add Weglot to your website. Select the languages that you need, and that's it. Your website is now available in multiple languages.
Hi guys, welcome to our quick talk on maintaining authentic team bonds in a remote setting. Just a quick background, my name is Diel Kapunan and I co-manage Gambit Technologies together with my husband. Our focus is on creating page building tools, the most notable of which would be stackable page builder Gutenberg blocks. When we started Gambit, we didn't just set out to make a business. We wanted to build great products that are inspiring and truly helpful. And we wanted these products to be the way that we made a difference and a way to have an impact to the world. But we didn't want to build just any other thing. We wanted to build a work family. We didn't want it to feel like it was all about work. We wanted people to work with us and to also share our passion and to be invested and committed to our goals on a deep level. Pre-pandemic, like most companies, we maintained an office, but we allowed a few work-from-home days. We tried to give some leeway in terms of working hours, but for the most part, we emphasized the importance of being at the office. We thought it was the only way that real collaboration could take place. We thought that the fluidity and ease of communication afforded by being together is just something that was crucial to building the type of office culture that we wanted. We were pretty proud of our pre-pandemic office team actually. We felt like we were able to foster good relationships within our team. Like we were with people who not only worked together, but who also genuinely liked each other, and who enjoyed spending time together as peers. We spent a lot of time chatting, having dinners out, having team building activities, and celebrating as a team. In fact, we felt that office togetherness was something that we really aced. But then the pandemic happened. Needless to say, it was a big shock to our system. Because we've always kept the health and safety of our people one of our top priorities, we made sure to transition from a work-from-home setup even prior to government-imposed lockdowns, which came about a few days after we started. We had to think and move fast. Our plan was simple. We were confident that we could transpose the in-office setup to a remote environment. During our first week of work from home, we thought, great, all systems are go, and this is how we did it. Pre-pandemic, our office hours were 11 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Philippine time. So we decided to keep those working times and to monitor each person's deliverables and hours on a daily basis. We started doing daily instead of weekly alignment meetings. We felt that this was important to stay on the same page. And because we were so used to being together at work at the same time, we wanted to be able to just jump on a Zoom call throughout the workday. We realized after a while that we spoke too soon about all systems go. We started feeling the fatigue of what seemed like perpetual Zoom meetings. We started realizing that we were starting to falter with keeping everything in check and keeping everyone moving and delivering good quality work. The pandemic was really taking a toll on all of us. And one by one, our work family members sadly had to make their exits. We found ourselves having to recruit new talent amidst the pandemic, a feat that is not easy. But we knew the real difficulty was in keeping the talent that we do get. We had to ask ourselves, how do we go back to providing an environment that is exciting, fulfilling, and sustainable? We realized that we approached things the wrong way. Looking back, it seems ridiculous that we thought that we could simply transpose our in-office setup to a remote environment and call it all systems go. But then we chalked this up to being pressed for time and to grappling with something completely new to us. We realized that to really understand what sustainable work from home should look like, we needed to recognize the need for a paradigm shift. Working from home is a very different thing, which requires a very different system. To come up with a new system that would actually work, we realized we had to go back to basics and re-examine our core principles on how we worked. We needed these things to start with: a new system for delivery and accountability, better remote tools for better workflow, accepting that balancing work and personal life is now the new norm, and finding a way to keep company culture at the core of our new system. First of all, we realized that we needed to change the way that we measured how people worked. In office, it was easy. You see people working since you could physically see them at any given time. We realized that this is just not possible in a work-from-home setup. Being on a perpetual Zoom call just won't cut it. We realized, too, that we don't need to peer over people's shoulders to make sure that they actually worked. And work from home will need us to have even more trust in our people, that they will do their jobs, and do their jobs well, even if they are not on the clock. We essentially embraced a new way of doing things. We decided to follow a work wherever you want, whenever you want system, with a few conditions. They have to show up for meetings. Deadlines must be respected, and they must respond to urgent matters ASAP. It was a drastic change for us, and not being able to count hours worked also meant that we needed a new way of measuring work. So we shifted our focus to KPIs and output. With respect to measuring work, our new policy was, so long as you deliver good results, you're good. This gave people something that they needed to battle burnout and to be able to juggle work and personal responsibilities: freedom of time. This took out the guilt from not being able to focus on work during specific times of the day. This also allowed people more flexibility to adjust to the pandemic and to cater to health and family matters when they needed to. Most importantly, this gave people the freedom to work during the hours that they were most productive. We really don't know why we didn't do this earlier, but we knew we were on the right track. Of course, to support this new focus on more independent workflow, we needed to make sure that we had a way of keeping people on the same page. We realized that for people to do their jobs well, they had to understand where they fit in the greater scheme of things. We needed to be able to share goals so each of our team members could deliver on their respective parts. To keep people on the same page, we now spend more time planning together. We take the time to flesh out annual, quarterly, and sprint plans so people will always have a clear understanding of what they need to deliver. To do this, we invested in different tools that would take the place of our physical office. We started using Notion as our virtual workspace and are now fans of the single source of truth policy. We shifted to Slack and Zoom for real-time communications, and we use a host of other technical tools to keep things moving. This new system just works and keeps everybody in sync, even when working at different times. Probably one of the most challenging things with working from home is figuring out a way to keep the company culture alive. How exactly do we bond with people we've never personally met? As I mentioned before, we needed to build a brand new team, and no one had been to our physical office or had met each other in person before. And we were just at a loss on how to even start personal conversations with these complete strangers. But then we realized that we had to open ourselves up to the possibility of forming authentic bonds with these new team members. It had to start with us, and we needed to set a good tone to foster team building. To set the tone, we spent a good amount of time with onboarding new team members. We take this opportunity to share company values, expectations, and commitments. This is our way of breaking the ice, of making new team members know that we value communication, collaboration, mutual respect, and being able to speak freely and share ideas. Having new core principles in place also helped us develop new team routines that foster more personal interactions. We now hold daily and video stand-ups, which are quick and are meant to keep people updated. We acknowledge that Slack is our new way of tapping others on the shoulder to share ideas or ask for help. We encourage people to schedule mini meetings when needed, while keeping in mind that they need to respect each other's chosen time. These in-video meetings also give us an opportunity to see each other's personal life. We see each other's kids, siblings, pets, and get to peek at who our coworkers are in their everyday lives. And finally, we found ways to kick back and relax together. Dinners became weekly game nights. In-office chats over coffee became virtual chats after meeting agendas were completed. At the core of it, it's all about shared interests in each other as people. We learned that that's what makes interactions authentic. It's understanding that despite interactions being purely online, they are still real interactions that bring value to each individual and the team as a whole. So what will happen to our team when the pandemic blows over? We plan to keep the team mostly remote. With the current setup, we've found that we are more productive, less stressed, and we have more time for things outside of work. But we plan to have the occasional in-person meeting so we could see each other and work together and bond in person. Thanks for listening, and I hope you were able to learn something from this presentation. Till next time.
Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Imran and I work for Articamp. Articamp provides WordPress solutions to enterprises. And in today's session, we are going to talk about building open web with decoupled WordPress and Gatsby using GraphQL. So let me introduce you to OpenWeb. So OpenWeb, which was formerly Spot.im, had an in-house design team which enlisted Articamp to implement a website that would showcase their passion for clarity in communication and some really good high-quality use of open web technologies. Their idea was to use Gatsby with decoupled WordPress. So being a full stack engineer with specialization in React, Gatsby, GraphQL, I went ahead and led this project. And there were certain reasons why we chose Gatsby with WordPress. First of all, it's free and open source. Second, it's blazing fast. So you can build your site statically, which is pre-rendered. It is secured, so no direct connection to the database. It aids better development experience using the modern front-end libraries like React and GraphQL. It also provides content mesh, which means you can pull content from different sources. And content migration is really easy. So if we take a look at this decoupled architecture, we can see that in the backend we have GraphQL with WordPress, and on the front end we have Gatsby with React. And we are using Apollo client to provide a structured data that caches the data graphs. And when the frontend makes a request to backend at a single endpoint, which is /GraphQL, it returns the JSON response, and then using that response, an HTML page is generated server-side. So you get server-side rendered, and then it is served to the frontend for the client. So using Gatsby with WordPress served many benefits. So the first one is high performance. OpenWeb's rebranding for Spot.im was focused to implementing a modern design with no compromises. This means implementing not just blazing fast website, but also a fully featured and powerful editing experience. So Articam built a statically optimized front end with decoupled WordPress backend that delivered a time to first byte less than 0.3 seconds and a first paint at less than a second. Now, it will be interesting for you to know that OpenWeb delivered brand guidelines totaling 100 pages of content. To meet their requirement, Articam developed in tandem with OpenWeb design team, providing working results as their creative vision took place. We used WordPress Gutenberg editor to provide rich and engaging experience to the editors to write their blogs. Let me give you a demo. So what we're going to do is we'll go to our WordPress dashboard and then go under Post and click on Add New. Once you do that, it's going to open up an editor for us, which will be the Gutenberg editor. And this is where I can add the title and write my content for my blog post. Okay, so I'm going to write the title, press release spot.im is now open web. Perfect. This is my title. I have some content available here, so I can just copy that for now to save time. And then when you're writing content in the Gutenberg editor, you have different blocks available. So there's a concept of block. If you click on this plus icon that you see here, it allows you to add the block, and there's different blocks available. So you have block for paragraph, heading, list, quote. You could even create your custom block as well, and you can add it over here. All right, and once you've done that, you can also preview your blog. So you can click on the preview button and then click on preview, and then you can see that you're able to preview that blog as well, which is brilliant, right? And now once you're ready, you can publish the blogs. You can hit publish, and once you've published it, let's check it out in the front end. There you go. Congratulations. So we've got our blog that's been published, and you've got the heading, written by, date, and then you've got the paragraph, the image, and everything that we had added. Isn't that amazing? Awesome, brilliant. And the best part is that we can also share this blog. So I can share it on Twitter, or I can do it on LinkedIn, right? So now at this point, you must be wondering, what about forms? For OpenWeb, we actually created the HubSpot form, and we have an example, which is OpenWeb Impact Calculator, which is using HubSpot form, and we can fill in our information here. Let's say articam.com, select a vertical, total monthly spend, total monthly editorial page view, then total monthly visitor, average page view per session, average session duration. Click next. Just fill in your details. Let's say I do that, this one. Job title, software developer, and let's submit this form. Show me the impact. So this form basically tells you how OpenWeb is going to improvise on your yearly revenue and help you lift your average page view per session, and also increase the number of the active users, and will help you build deeper relationship with your audience. So basically this entire form is built using HubSpot, and the data comes from the backend. Now, another interesting thing that we built for OpenWeb is the multilingual pages. So we had a requirement of 2 pages to be built in multilingual. So we have 2 versions. One is English and second is German. So let me show that to you. So let's go to legal and privacy, and I'm going to go to privacy page. So this is the English version, and then if you put DE in the URL, then you're going to get the German version. So you can see that this is the German version, right? Let me show you the backend as well. So as you can see in the backend, we have this icon here for the German version of the page, and we have got the English version of the page as well, right? And what we're using for this one is the Polylang and Polylang Slug WordPress plugin. So we have used the Create Pages API to generate the two versions of the pages, and they will be available to you at those URLs. All right. Now there was also a need to create hybrid pages. So we use combination of static content, which is loaded on the initial render, and also the dynamic content. Now by gathering the data ahead of time while the site builds, allows the data to be already available to the user when a user loads the page. Then for the data that is of more dynamic nature, for example, when loading more articles, we make a client-side request to get the data from WordPress. Now the result of this process created fast loading pages and a nice user experience. In the case of OpenSwep job board, Articam made use of Greenhouse APIs to cause job listing administered on Greenhouse to display natively within the site across multiple locations. The end result is one of the cohesive websites that displays content no matter what source, WordPress or Greenhouse. Now, adding responsive images to your website while maintaining high performance can be difficult to do manually. So we use Gatsby image plugin that handles the hard parts, producing the images in multiple sizes using the shop library. Now, because Gatsby pages are server-side rendered, all the page content is available to the Google bot and the search engine crawlers. So we use the Yoast WordPress plugin to fetch the SEO data from WordPress and render it to the front end for Google. The new OpenWeb website is now a platform to showcase their expertise in high quality performance and communication. As a team, we delivered a showcase of excellent use of animation, brand and design implementation without compromises. All right, that's about it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. And you can follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Imran H. Syed. Bye.
But a desire to know. Like it's something like you have the enthusiasm to know more about a particular thing, a product or a service or a brand or a person. Let us jump on to my introduction. Namaste. A warm welcome to all of you to this beautiful talk. I'll be talking about leveraging your WordPress website with curiosity marketing. So when you hear a word curiosity marketing, by now you will be very curious to know what's going to be next. So let us continue. I would love to dedicate this particular talk to my sister who lost her life due to COVID-19 on 21st May 2021. She was a true inspiration for me to reach at this level. And she was very much fond of WordPress community and its happenings. Talking about the agenda, we have curiosity marketing basics, it's different perspectives and lots of other things. So let us jump on to my introduction. My name is Sumad Lohar. I am a tech blogger at blogospedia.com. I'm also a podcaster at theediblecontent.com, which I'm going to launch very soon. I'm also a content and social media strategist. I am a YouTuber. I have been very much active at various WordCamps as a speaker, as an organizer, as WordPress meetup speaker. I also have delivered speech at GoDaddy EMA meetup. So let us jump on to our interesting topic of curiosity marketing. So what is curiosity marketing? Let us first, segment down curiosity and marketing. Curiosity is nothing but a desire to know. Like it's something like you have the enthusiasm to know more about a particular thing, a product or a service or a brand or a person. So this is the curiosity. Next, let us talk about marketing. So marketing is something, the action of business of promoting and selling products or services, including market research and advertising. So it's like a process or an action to promote your services as well as products towards your audience. When you combine both of them, You get curiosity marketing. Now, what is curiosity marketing? A process to attract people towards your product or service through engaging content to encourage them to take an action. So this is something to encourage them to take an action on your website. Next, what is the significance of context to engagement? We have three questions to answer. Why, what, how? When you have why, give your audience purpose to engage with your business website. Why they need to engage with your business website. Second, what? Let your audience know what they can expect when they arrive on your website. How, which is very vital. When you get why and what answer, entice them towards knowing how will you accommodate their problems or requirements or challenges to get the desired solutions or goals they are looking to achieve. Next, why it's best practice to be very creative while you are developing your website. There are three important perspectives: better engagement ratio, user experience, clear message about your business. Better engagement ratio: when your website is communicative, it builds up trust and reflect a good impression on your audience. So like, there is no need for your participation, because when your website is very communicative, it connects with your audience, you are done with that and you get better engagement ratio. Second, user experience: when your website is well crafted and has seamless navigational controls, it has very easy to, you can easily understand what all elements are there and where you need to reach between different pages. There are higher chances to generate leads because it's easy. People are finding it easy to what they want. Third, clear message about your business. If your website can reflect a clear purpose, message, and information, you're good to go with converting more leads into loyal customers for a very long time. Next, how curiosity works wonders for your website. So there are three different perspectives: crispy content, testimonials, about us page. Crispy content means blogs, case studies, videos, and infographics. This automatically helps uh, for your business or for your website to generate curiosity among the minds of the people. Testimonials: generally when we showcase testimonials, it's in a text form. It's good, you get engagement and everything, it's fine. But if you want to get more engagement and generate leads, you can showcase in the form of micro videos or behind the scene videos. What are the behind the scene videos here? So when you have provided a solution or you have come up with a product or service that you have offered to your audience or to your particular customer, that particular customer, when he or she implements into their organization, you take the snapshot or short video about that and release on your website. So that way people will find it very curious, or they will want to know more about that. Thirdly, about us page. This is one of the most crucial element or ingredient, you can say, for the success of your website. Narrate a story on this page about your business from the ideation to the launch of your business. People can connect with that easily. Do not just write about the year or place or something, but let people know from where did you start and today where your business is. That way people can easily connect with your brand or business. Next, in what way curiosity can close better deals, how it is helpful for your business. So you have this demographic where you can use as per your requirements. You have lead magnet. If you use around 30% of you implement with that, you can get better deals. If you use call to actions around 25% on your website, you get better deals. If you use 20% of headlines or titles for your website, you get better deals. If you use triggering words like special, premium, exclusive, these are the words that automatically triggers into the minds of people. And color, friends, color is one of the most important element you can ever talk about. If your color and your brand logo and your message, are in the same line, you can close any number of deals as you want. Next, curiosity marketing elements for your website. What are the 3 important elements for your website? Ask questions, or motivate them to ask questions. When there are lots of questions coming up, it generates more value for curiosity. Second, provide partial information. When you're launching a product or a service, do not give the entire information. Just provide slight or very little information, so that people will engage with you more and more and for a longer time. Last one is very important: value their time. When you are in a process of implementing curiosity marketing, sometimes what happens is that strategy or that implementation goes for very long time, and people feel very they want to live it, they don't want to know what it's, because it's been very long time. So respect the time and follow the timeline. Next, trending ways of storifying your website. So you have lots of concepts when we talk about storytelling and lots of things, but here we are going to talk about something very interesting, that is scrollytelling. So scrollytelling is a perfect blend of storytelling and scrolling on your website. Here you can encourage visitors on your website to scroll and explore useful information that generates curiosity into their mind to know more. So if you have something, a list of services or products, let them scroll down. But that that design or the architecture of their website should be very appealing, that they want to scroll more and more and more and more. If you see this picture in front of your screen, so you can ask questions around that. What do you see? How that you can relate? What exactly it is? So people will want to answer, and they want to know more that what structures are there, and you can do it for multiple purposes also. So this way you can connect with them. Next, curiosity marketing use cases and examples. Here I have showcased very simple and practical use cases. They are launch events. When you see in launch events, when they are talking about a product or services, prior to the launch of a product or service, they always give out, or they always show some features, not all features, so that there is a curiosity between their audience. And at the day of the launch of the event, they blast off with all the features, and that's all you can say in a historic way. Second, watch this space. You might have seen wherever you go, you on banners or on shops, watch this space. We have curiosity. What's this particular brand going to come up with? So this is something that you need to focus upon. Third, coming soon. Many times we have seen on websites or on shops or departmental stores or shopping malls, you see this board coming soon. This also creates curiosity among people, among your audience. Okay, something is going to come very soon, so I need to engage with it, or I need to be very updated, or I need to stay tuned with this particular brand. So this is where you can create curiosity. Next, before I end up this particular session, I would quote a beautiful saying by one of the India's most famous philosopher, economist, and management guru, Acharya Chanakya. He quotes, "Never settle for anything less than what you deserve." It's not pride, it's self-respect. Friends, you all who are watching right now, you have boundless of capabilities and potential. So implement them and see for your achievements and results. And I also hope that whatever I have shared here will help you and in your business. No matter you are a freelancer, agency owner, startup owner, or a founder of a company, IT company, organization, enterprise solution provider, whoever may be, you will surely get something out of that. And once again, thank you so much for listening to me. If you have any questions, they are welcomed at any time. At last, namaste, and take care of yourself and your family. Thank you.
Here at Green Geeks, WordPress works awesome. We offer a one-click installer with automatic updates, tons of developer tools like WP Staging, WP CLI, and Git, free WordPress migration, and access to award-winning expert support 24/7, 365. Plus, WordPress sites hosted on our platform are lightning fast. Most importantly, Green Geeks is the most eco-friendly WordPress web hosting company on the planet.
To put it simply, plugins power WordPress. But when a plugin fails, so does your site. With fully managed WordPress hosting from Nexus, you get carefully curated plugins that will save you from having to search the plugin database to find the right tools. And you'll never have to worry about managing or updating plugins again. Start building a site that loads ultra fast with instant auto scaling, visual comparisons, plus automatic plugin updates and platform updates. With fully managed WordPress from Nexus, better is built in.
Discover Weglot, the simple translation solution for your website. All you have to do is add Weglot to your website. Select the languages that you need, and that's it. Your website is now available in multiple languages.
Hi, everyone. That was fantastic.
Yeah, that was amazing. Thank you, all three of you, for the great presentations.
They were amazing. It was like a cone of ice cream, three best flavors put together, or I don't know, a box of chocolate. It was three different talks, but amazing, amazing. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah, let's start off just with DL's talk here on maintaining authentic team bonds in a remote setting. Now, that sounds like it was a a really challenging time to go through with growing not only your team but as a leader.
Actually, Zach, yes. Thanks for having me during this Q&A, by the way. I hope everyone's having a great day. It was challenging, but it was also fun, and it pushed us to be more creative than we originally thought we were, in terms of not just forming team bonds, but the overall HR perspective of our whole organization.
That's awesome. Now, we did have an audience question for you from Div. Div asked, how do you navigate different time zones? We're a worldwide team, 10 countries around the world, North America, Latin America, EMEA, and Asia Pacific.
Actually, that's what we discovered throughout this journey. Being on the same time zone is not really a necessity for a team to work together. And that's why we embraced the work whenever you want, wherever you want policy that I spoke about. So it's really asynchronous. We work apart. Um, I guess that's the benefit of that kind of setup, is because you don't have to be together all the time. So different time zones just work. And on top of that, it's not really that hard for us because we're really navigating only 2 time zones at the moment, 4 hours apart. For the synchronous activities that we do have, like meetings, we make it a point that they're quick. We choose a time zone that is convenient for everyone. So that's for our daily stand-up, to keep everybody together. For other meetings, we encourage everybody to schedule ahead of time, just so everybody can work around the same schedule. So that's how we kind of handle different time zones for our team.
That's amazing. Yeah, when I was running my agency, we had people in Europe and people in North America, and it was always interesting getting the scheduling right. And I'm doing some consulting now with 10up, which is a global agency, right? 260 some odd people now, I think. And they're just everywhere. So scheduling is always really complex, and they do a great job as well of just trying to balance all of that. So I have a lot of respect for people that can balance all of that and run a remote team.
Great. So we'll put a question to Imran. Imran's talk was fantastic. Always something new to learn. I love attending Imran's talks.
Thank you.
He's one of my favorite speakers. Yep. So a question for Imran. What is the benefit of using Apollo client with the decoupled project?
Yeah, that's a good question. So Apollo basically provides the structured data and caches the data graph. And it really has an intelligent caching and declarative approach to data fetching that can help you iterate faster while you write less code. And you can actually combine the local and remote data as well when you're building the decoupled application. The best part is that it's really easy to get started with. It's extensible, and there's a huge open source community to support that. So I really enjoy building decoupled projects with Apollo.
Great. Thanks for that answer, Imran. A follow-up question: how do you manage to acquire so many talents?
Sorry?
I'm just appreciating.
I didn't catch that.
I mean, that is an impressive list, right? React and Laravel and WordPress and all of these things that you're doing. It's quite an impressive stack.
Thank you.
He
it's
writes and he sings.
Yeah, I think it's the passion to learn and teach both. So because I like to learn, I like to share. Because originally when I started programming, when I was a beginner, I realized that there weren't enough resources available specifically for WordPress. So I thought that when I'm spending around 4 hours or 10 hours on learning a concept, I might as well share with other people who are beginners just like I once was. So with that thought in mind, I made a promise to myself that no matter what happens, no matter how experienced I get and how busy I get, teaching and learning is one thing that I will always keep on going with.
That's amazing.
Awesome. Okay.
So, Samant, I had a question for you really quick.
Yeah.
What led you to curiosity marketing?
See, in one sentence, if I say that, like, we have two sections, like we have surprise and a curiosity. But when we implement surprises, it has a very short duration in branding. But when we talk about, curiosity, it has longevity, and you can extend the way you want, and people will engage the way you want to engage with them on multiple channels. So that's why I love curiosity more.
Nice. That's awesome. DL, we have another question for you.
Yes.
Aaron Anto asked, have you tried or thought of getting staff to go outside and run some kind of fun item like Pokemon Go?
What a nice question. We're actually, one of the things that we found is you really have to play together. There must be some sort of bonding activity outside of work, even if your team is remote. I must say, we do a weekly game night where we kind of each person had a spot to host. Every week we'll have a different host, so we do whatever that person wants to play. So it's fun. You kind of get to know what games they like to play, what kind of person they are. There's a lot of heckling across, right? But I must say we've never tried Pokemon Go, and we can do that so long as we can devise some sort of point system, so everybody can get their creativity up, and it will be more challenging for everybody. But yeah, good suggestion. We'll try that. I'll suggest it for our next game night.
Yeah, well, the whole thing with Pokemon Go is you have to catch all the Pokemon.
I know,
whoever
right?
catches the most during that time period, I think
It
that would
might
be good.
run for a very, very long time. So if you want to catch them all.
Yeah. Great. So, one question for Sumant, my dear friend.
Yes.
Sumant, I see you, apart from doing your own work, you also volunteer a lot for community events, for
Yes.
Collection India, for WordCamp India, for WordCamp Ahmedabad, and so many other places.
Yeah.
What keeps you curious?
The team management, the working in teams, and sharing the ideas, sharing the knowledge. This is what motivates me to work in team and in community. Because if you say that, okay, I am great, or I am an expert in some field and I can manage all by myself, it's not going to help you out in longer term. So if you want to grow yourself, if you want to help yourself also, you need to first help others and other communities. That's how you grow by yourself.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome.
Well,
Imran, yeah, Zach, please go ahead.
I've just let chat know we have just a few minutes left. So if you want to get a question in, now's the time to do it.
That's right. Just two minutes left for this session. So, Imran, it's amazing to see what you have achieved with WordPress, Laravel, React, and
Thank you.
Gatsby, or JavaScript in general. So I wouldn't really put very technical questions to you, but what would be your suggestion to WordPress newbies to get into learning React or decoupled WordPress?
Right. So there are several resources available where you can learn WordPress. The first place I would recommend to start with is your learn.wordpress.org, where there are different courses available. There's a huge open source community where you can ask questions. There's Slack channel that you can ask questions about. And related to the React and decoupled, even I have built courses. If you go to codytech.com, there is a huge list of courses available, not just for React and decoupled, but also for WordPress and Webpack and Babel. So I would recommend that you do check that out. And if you have any questions, feel free to ping me.
Awesome. It looks like we have
Awesome.
one more question for the group. Two more questions for the group. So the first one is, do we see any developments which make websites obsolete? Because it takes a lot of time to get what I need right. That's from Anto again.
Yeah.
So I'll just say I hope not, because I really like building websites.
Yeah.
Anybody have anything for that one?
I don't think that the websites will ever get obsolete. Of course, it will get improvised, because with the lot of new technologies coming in, like PWA, you can just build one website and not have to build another mobile application. It gets automatically available for you to download on your mobile. So things are definitely going to get better in terms of user experience, the technology, the features it offers. And I think I remember that Google also announced that we are going to have the page experience as a part of the Google ranking system. So with that, everybody is going to make their website better in terms of performance, etc. You have AMP in place, so it's only going to get better. I don't think it's going to get obsolete at all.
Okay, so we have two more questions that we need to do really kind of rapid fire here. The first is, where do you think websites are going to be in around 15 years? That's from Arun Anto again. I'm going to just take a stab at this and say, when I started building websites, I was building them with tables and single pixel spacer GIFs. So the sky is really the limit for where we're going to be in another 15 years.
Totally.
Div asked, how do you find time for a game night when it could be morning for a few members of your team when game night is happening?
Okay, I guess that's for me.
Yes, it is.
As I said, it's not that difficult for us right now because we only have a 4-hour time difference. So it's very late for one of our team members, but he's game because it's game night and the drinks are out. So it's just all about fun. How do we find time? You have to make time, I must say. If like 2 weeks go by without a game night, we feel like we've lost touch. I think that's the challenge with working remotely. You have to put in more effort, and putting effort into knowing each other is very important. So you have to make time.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for the Q&A time, for your presentations. It's been great. I'm just going to wrap up here for the Asia Stage 2 by saying thank you for having me and Yogesh here to work as your MCs. It's been great. I want to give our thanks to our global sponsors, Cloudways, Elementor, GoDaddy Pro, Green Geeks, Nexus, and Stratic, our multilingual partner, Weeklot, and our live captioning sponsors, GiveWP and Paid Memberships Pro. Be sure to visit their tents and chat with them. There's some prizes you can win. Don't forget to get your photo snapped in the photo booth brought to us by Content Journey and Stratic, and be sure to check out the swag bag for deals and gifts from our sponsors. Also, thank you to all of our media partners and micro sponsors. You all make our big orange hearts full. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of WordFest.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Have
for
a
having
great
us.
rest of WordFest.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye.
Mary, and you. Great lighting. Talk.
Oh, I'm so sorry we're running. So welcome to WordFest. We're kicking off the Africa continent for over 24 hours of celebrating the people, the technology, and the big orange art of WordPress. WordFest not only delivers sections and opportunities, but is also a fundraiser for Big Orange Art. Please visit that donate link at any time to support the mission of our organization. First up in this round is Arindo Duke with WordPress, a tool to empower people. Arindo Duke is a WordPress developer from Juiz de Fora, Brazil, living in Madrid, Spain. He is the founder and CEO of Nextpress, a WordPress plugin development shop responsible for products such as WP Ultimo and WP Admin Pages Pro. Arindo has given talks in numerous WordCamps in Brazil and was also one of the organizers of the local WordPress community in Juiz de Fora before moving to Madrid, Spain.
Discover Weglot, the simple translation solution for your website. All you have to do is add Weglot to your website. Select the languages that you need, and that's it. Your website is now available in multiple languages.
Here at Green Geeks, WordPress works awesome. We offer a one-click installer with automatic updates, tons of developer tools like WP Staging, WP CLI, and Git, free WordPress migration, and access to award-winning expert support 24/7, 365. Plus, WordPress sites hosted on our platform are lightning fast. Most importantly, Green Geeks is the most eco-friendly WordPress web hosting company on the planet.
To put it simply, plugins power WordPress. But when a plugin fails, so does your site. With fully managed WordPress hosting from Nexus, you get carefully curated plugins that will save you from having to search the plugin database to find the right tools. And you'll never have to worry about managing or updating plugins again. Start building a site that loads ultra fast with instant auto scaling, visual comparisons, plus automatic plugin updates and platform updates. With fully managed WordPress from Nexus, better is built in.
Hello, everyone. So the title of my presentation today is WordPress, a tool to empower. And the idea here is that we are going to discuss what are the elements that makes WordPress such a good tool to offer opportunities to different people in different places all around the world. So English is not my first language, so I would like to apologize in advance for any mistakes that I make along the way. I get especially nervous when giving presentations in English, so I hope you forgive me. Yeah, so to get started, a little bit about myself. So my name is Arindo Duque. I'm a plugin developer and the founder of a plugin shop called NextPress. I am from Brazil, but I'm currently living in Madrid, Spain. I have this weird love and hate relationship with multi-site. Most of our products are based on multi-site, so sometimes I love it, sometimes I hate it, and I absolutely love WordCamps. A couple of our products, WP Ultimo, WP Admin Pages Pro, but yeah, and I'll talk a little bit more about myself during the rest of the presentation. I'll use a couple of stories, things that happened to me, to illustrate some of the points that we're hoping to make here today. So when I read about the call for speakers, I had this idea, a pitch of a presentation that I thought was really cool. And this is the original pitch I sent to Big Orange Heart. It read, although WordPress's mission is still democratized publishing, it has democratized so much more in its almost 19 years now of existence. As a tool, WordPress has allowed millions of people around the world, including in disadvantaged regions, to create their own businesses, either developing websites and applications for others or by inventing awesome products in the form of plugins and themes for the ecosystem. Unlike traditional industries, where the top companies are usually located in the global north, WordPress companies are all around the globe, including the global south. The idea behind this proposal is to discuss and appreciate the beauty of the WordPress ecosystem, how it differs from these traditional industries, and how it has been leading the way in terms of empowering its users, companies built around it, and their workers. So my original plan was to focus on this particular part. So I thought about like having some fancy graphs showing how traditional industries differ from WordPress, how WordPress has like a bunch of cool companies doing cool stuff that are not necessarily located in the US or in Europe, and even if they are located in the US or in Europe, that they employ people from all around the globe. But in the end, I decided that that was not what I really wanted to talk about in this presentation. So instead of having fancy graphs and comparing numbers, we're going to focus on WordPress as a tool and the different things about WordPress that allows it to be such a powerful tool for people all around the world, especially in disadvantaged countries. And I don't want to necessarily focus on the companies that much. I want to focus on the beauty of the WordPress ecosystem and the people that I've met along the way, and use those stories to illustrate a couple of the points that we have here. So we'll be talking about people, not numbers. And as I mentioned, you'll hear about my particular path that brought me from the little me to the current me, let's say. And also, a couple of stories from great friends that I made in the WordPress community that I feel have a similar paths, to the one I've taken. In the end, this presentation is pretty much a love letter to the WordPress, as a software and its community. Yeah. And I want to use this opportunity to talk about opportunity and the steps that we can take to make sure that we keep the opportunity cycle going. Okay? So that's the plan. Moving on. So what makes WordPress great? Think about that question for a second. I'm sure there are tons of different answers depending on who you ask. But throughout the presentation, we'll see there are a couple of points that tend to be universal. And that's the ones, those are the ones that I want to focus on. So keep that question in mind. So here is our first story. So just so you have some context, I asked a bunch of friends that I made in the past years to send me a paragraph basically saying how WordPress has impacted their lives. And the first one, the first person we're gonna hear from today is Rajendra Zor. He's from Mumbai, India. He's the CMO of RunCloud, which is a server panel. And here's what he had to say. So I first heard about WordPress back in 2012, a difficult year for me, preceded by 2 years of unemployment. That was the same year I moved to a new city for a job that only lasted 4 months, essentially leaving me jobless and homeless in a new city. I wanted to pay bills and could only think of getting back into tech. I was a computer science dropout, had never worked in IT directly, as all roles were non-tech, and drifted away from programming entirely. But then I discovered WordPress and built my first site almost 50 times in order to learn every aspect of it. I thank my first client for trusting me, and I never looked back. So Raj has a really interesting story, and I'm linking to a blog post here that tells that whole story. He went through a lot. And I've highlighted a sentence here where he mentions that he was a computer science dropout, but had never worked in IT directly because all the roles that he got were not based on programming or tech roles. And that brings us to the first point I want to make. One of the reasons I think WordPress is great, and it's a great generator of opportunities, is because it's built on top of PHP, and PHP is awesome. PHP gets a lot of hate these days in the web, but it has a set of characteristics that makes it into a very, very special programming language. So here are a couple of them. PHP is extremely forgiving. You can make a bunch of errors, and if you don't commit like any capital crime or anything like that, your code is probably going to run. You might end up with a log file full of warnings and notices, but you'll be able to get a functioning page or app at the end of the process. Both WordPress and PHP are very copy and paste friendly. You don't have to worry about a compiler. You can just copy and paste code, use the hooks and filter system of WordPress, and have a Frankenstein functions.php file with a bunch of snippets from different sources, and it's probably going to work. So PHP, it's basically the ultimate beginner's programming language, and there's a reason why I mentioned this. So when I first got started with WordPress, I was 14 years old, and I had like very little HTML and PHP knowledge. I had a PC that wasn't able to do much and a dial-up connection. So there's a delay. Now it's shorter, but when I was growing up, there was usually a 10-year gap between technologies becoming mainstream in the US or Europe and it becoming mainstream in Brazil. So it took a good while before broadband became mainstream in Brazil. So most of my teenage years, I had a dial-up connection and had to make that work. And despite all that, I had a custom theme up and running in a couple of days. And that was enough to get me hooked. I knew that I could learn as I went because things just worked from day one. So now we have our second story. This one is from José Vega. He is a plugin developer as well, has this amazing product called WP Frontend Admin, which basically allows you to port portions of the admin dashboard to the front end, and it just works. It's amazing. And I asked him the same question, and here's what he had to say. So I started with WordPress as a blogger when I was in high school, and I fell in love with it as a non-technical user. Then I started tinkering with code to customize my theme, and I never looked back. So it's basically the same story. He wanted to do some minor customization, started to tinker with the code, and it worked. So he never looked back. I started working as a junior developer, building small sites and learning a lot in the process. And now I am a professional plugin developer 11 years later. It never crossed my mind at the beginning that I would be a plugin developer. It's been a wild adventure, and I can't wait to see where WordPress takes me in the next 5 to 10 years. So it's basically the same thing for me as well. I never imagined that I would be doing plugin development for a living, and here we are. And it's all because there was a bunch of different opportunities along the way that we were lucky enough to be able to make use of. So the main takeaway here is that we need to keep the barrier to entry as low as possible. We don't want to miss on people, on good developers or good community members, because their hardware can't run the fancy build scripts that we have or the latest virtualized development environment. Right now, it's super easy and relatively cheap to get started with WordPress. And I think we should try our best to keep it that way to make sure that those opportunities continue to be created, as access to technology can vary greatly around the world. Another thing that I think it's amazing about WordPress and the WordPress community in general is that people are super accessible and they really want to help. It's weird. You email people and they reply. Like the first time I realized this, my mind was blown. So last year I was hiring a couple of people to our company to help with development. Up to that point, I was pretty much a company of one, and I was having a hard time transitioning from being the developer to being the business owner, manager, and having to manage other people. And I was so desperate that one day I decided to send an email to one of the top plugin creators, developers in the WordPress space. And I had no expectations of getting a reply. I even included a too long didn't read version just to make sure I would like increase my probability of getting a reply. And I said, I'm a plugin developer having problems transitioning to a business owner, manager, or people role, and I would like to chat about it with you if you're available. And to my surprise, one day later, I not only got a reply, but we actually schedule a call, and we have a lengthy conversation about those challenges, because he turns out he went through the same challenges I was facing at the time. And that conversation was very important for me, because it helped me realize that if he managed to come out alive on the other side, that I could probably do that too. And it made me realize that all of those uncertainties and the doubts that I had on my mind, that was all part of the process. That someone that was pretty established had gone through the same steps that I was going through. And I'm not sure if we'd still be here, if my company would still exist, if I didn't have that conversation. So here we have Jose again. This is the same slide. I'm just bringing him up again because when I was preparing this presentation, I was trying to remember how I met Jose, because I knew it wasn't from a WordCamp or a WordPress event. So I went to look through my emails, and I found this. Advice for plugin author. So it turns out that in 2017, 6 months after I had released my first plugin, Jose sent me an email, and he was basically in the same position I was when I sent an email to that other plugin developer. He had just finished his first commercial plugin, and he had tips on how to promote it. And I replied, and that's how we got our conversation started. And that was our very first interaction. So basically, what happened between myself and that other plugin developer is something that had happened before between me and Jose. And I think that's awesome. Like, we are part of a ecosystem where people that, like, they could probably see each other as competitors because they're all developing WordPress plugins, but they actually want to see the others succeed, and they will help you and go through the challenges and explain the best way to do something if they know how to do something. And I'm not sure if that's something that happens in a lot of other like markets or communities. And I think that's something we should strive to maintain as much as possible. Another thing that it's amazing is that if you build something cool, people will talk about it. So if you have this very cool idea and you worked on a plugin or a theme that does something really, really cool, you can pretty much just email WP Tavern or WP Builds and a bunch of other blogs and sites on the WordPress space, and they will test it, review it, and write a piece about it. You don't have to be a big company. You don't have to have a huge background in technology. They want to see cool products, and they want to talk about people building cool products. And the reason why I mentioned WP Builds by name here is that other than being run by Nathan Wrigley, which I think it's pretty involved with Big Orange Heart, and a good friend of mine, is because in 2018, 2 years after WP Ultimo was released, the plugin was starting to gain traction, but it was still a bit difficult to get new people to get to know WP Ultimo. So Nathan heard about WP Ultimo. He thought it was a cool proposition, and he invited me to record a podcast episode covering the plugin, the functionality, and all of that good stuff. And to this day, I still get feedback from WP Ultimo customers saying that they first heard about WP Ultimo in this podcast episode. So to me, it's really incredible to see how if you build something and people like it, think it's a good product, regardless of who you are and where you come from, they'll try to let other people know about it. Another thing that I think it's important is that the number of formal barriers for professional growth is almost inexistent. So now we have another story to illustrate this point. So this is Felipe Elia. He's like a superstar member of the Brazilian WordPress community. I asked him the same question, and he said that WordPress changed my life in all possible ways. It's been paying my salary for years now, but it also gave me friends and a spectacular community that taught me so many different things, from coding to leadership. And the reason why I asked Felipe is because he was the second hire at my company. And we all knew that he was like a great developer. He has core contributions. He's one of meetup organizer, helps with translations. He's done it all, and he's now part of 10up as a web engineer. And I asked him about it because when I hired him, I never asked about like formal education, if he had a diploma in computer science or some IT related proof of schooling, let's say that. And I asked him how was the process with 10up, and he basically said that it was the same, like it never came up. They never asked for a diploma or something like that, because there are other ways to prove yourself in the WordPress community. If you do the work, if you contribute, and people can see and can get proof of your quality as a professional, other than having a formal education, let's say. And that's really, really important if we take into consideration that not everyone has the opportunity to go to a college. Not everyone has access to a formal education in IT. So the fact that we keep that open mind for WordPress professionals, WordPress developers in general, it's something that I think that we should also strive to maintain, to make sure that we continue to generate opportunities all around the world. So up to this point, I'm mostly talking about opportunities related to programming, but that's not all. Opportunities are not at all limited to developers. So the next story we're going to hear is from Freddie. He's a freelancer, freelance WordPress blogger. He has written a couple blog posts for WP Ultimo, and he's from Nairobi, Kenya. And he said that WordPress has completely changed my life. I can work comfortably at home and take care of my family. On top of that, WordPress has helped me to meet so many people around the globe, which has expanded my network and led to new experiences and opportunities. And Freddie also has a lengthy blog post detailing his story, which is linked here. But as I mentioned, the ecosystem, the WordPress ecosystem, generates lots of different opportunities, and there are ways to create that portfolio of work, contributing with the community, that not necessarily require formal education or anything like that. And you can work with marketing, WordPress products as a freelance writer, as a designer, and there's lots of groups inside the WordPress project as a whole that you can contribute to. And yeah, it's interesting to see that opportunities are not at all limited to development. And I think this is the biggest one for me. The community is absolutely amazing. It's not like I have been part of many different communities, but WordPress had set the bar really, really high for me. So now we have the story of Anissa Ferreira. She's from São Paulo, Brazil, and she's a designer and developer, and one of the organizers of the WordCamp São Paulo. Both the WordCamps and meetups in São Paulo. And I asked her the same question. And she said, I started to use WordPress professionally in my agency, first to create our own website and later by offering WordPress development services to our clients. Because of that, I got involved with the Brazilian WordPress community and it had a great impact on my life, both professionally and in general. I had wonderful opportunities, got to know tons of people, give talks all around Brazil and even on WordCamp Europe. The fact that WordPress is an open platform and that it has such a collaborative community, it's the best differentiating aspect for me, and I'm glad to be part of that community. And the reason why I bring Anissa is that I said it before, but I love WordCamps. They are my favorite thing in the world. But my first WordCamp was not that long ago. It was actually WordCamp São Paulo 2018, which was an event that was organized by Anissa among other organizers. And I'm pretty sure that this very good-looking logo here is something that she designed herself. And I bring that up because I think it's funny how common this cycle here is. So it goes like this. A person gets to know WordPress or hears about a WordPress event and they go to that event. They love it so much that they want to get involved. With more people involved, they are able to create greater events, bigger events, or create events in different places. So the community grows. And as the community grows, more people get to know about WordPress and the community, and they go to their first events and the cycle restarts. I have seen this happen over and over again, and it happened to me. That's why I bring that up. So the reason why it took a while for me to go to my first WordCamp is that I live in a city. There is not really a tech hub, but it's not close to the major Brazilian population centers, which is called Juiz de Fora. And WordCamp São Paulo usually happened in São Paulo, which is a good distance away. So it took a while for me to be able to attend one of the WordCamp São Paulo events. And I went in 2018. It was my first WordCamp. And I love it so much. And one of the meetups, one of the talks we had during that WordCamp was a talk called How to Start a WordPress Meetup in Your City. And I went to that talk. I got super pumped. And when I got back to Juiz de Fora, I got together with a couple of friends, and we organized our very own meetup and community for our city, for Juiz de Fora. That's our logo there with the capybara, which is the unofficial animal of our city. Yeah, and that all brings me to, I think, is the most important point I'm trying to make with this talk, is that we are in a very decisive moment, in my opinion. We are seeing tons of consolidation in the WordPress space. Large companies getting even larger, tons of acquisitions. And that's great because it demonstrates how mature the WordPress ecosystem is becoming. And it's great to see that large corporations are realizing that WordPress is much more than a CMS at this point, that you can build pretty much everything you want to build using WordPress as a starting point. And I think that's great. But at the same time, we need to make sure we continue to cultivate the right values that continue to create opportunities. And I think it might be easy to think that that process is automatic, that those values will continue to be there by inertia. And I don't think that's the case. And I would like to make sure that we all have that in mind, that we want to see the WordPress community and the WordPress ecosystem mature, and we want to see even large companies with more and more employees and more opportunities. But we want to make sure that we continue to cultivate the right values that create those opportunities, not only in the US or in Europe, but all around the globe, which is what we see right now. And that we realize that this process is not automatic and it requires work. We need to keep that in mind at all times. So let's continue to make the WordPress community one of the most awesome places that is, both in the web and in the physical world. I think that's it. Here we have my Twitter handle at Arindoduque, my email address. Feel free to send me a message and get a conversation started. It would be a pleasure to get to know you. Thank you.
Discover Weglot, the simple translation solution for your website. All you have to do is add Weglot to your website. Select the languages that you need, and that's it. Your website is now available in multiple languages.
Here at Green Geeks, WordPress works awesome. We offer a one-click installer with automatic updates, tons of developer tools like WP Staging, WP CLI, and Git, free WordPress migration, and access to award-winning expert support 24/7, 365. Plus, WordPress sites hosted on our platform are lightning fast. Most importantly, Green Geeks is the most eco-friendly WordPress web hosting company on the planet.
To put it simply, plugins power WordPress. But when a plugin fails, so does your site. With fully managed WordPress hosting from Nexus, you get carefully curated plugins that will save you from having to search the plugin database to find the right tools. And you'll never have to worry about managing or updating plugins again. Start building a site that loads ultra fast with instant auto scaling, visual comparisons, plus automatic plugin updates and platform updates. With fully managed WordPress from Nexus, better is built in.
Arindo, hi.
Hi. Hey, Topher. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. That was a great talk. I liked it.
Yeah, I think it's perfect that you are the one emceeing this talk, because I know that that's pretty much what you do, hearing and letting people know about WordPress people and their stories. So yeah, I wanted
it
to connect
is.
for a while now.
It is definitely a passion of mine. I'm flattered that you've heard of me.
Yeah, one of the people that I mentioned on the presentation, Anissa, she has a post on Hero Press, if I'm not mistaken, where she talks about
yeah,
her story. Yeah.
that's cool. Yeah, it's very early in the morning here, so I'm trying to get my thoughts together. Tell me again about your very first WordCamp. That was something I wanted to hear again.
Yeah, so I've been working with WordPress for a while now. So since like professionally working with WordPress since 2014, 13, more or less. But I never didn't. It took a while for me to go through my first WordCamp, because we didn't have WordCamps near my city. In Brazil is this gigantic place, so I was like 8-9 hours away from a car ride away from the nearest WordCamp location. So it took a while. But in 2018, we went to our first WordCamp, and I decided that I would go and propose a talk, and it got accepted. So it was probably the only reason why
you have to go.
Yeah, you had to go. And I had the best time of my life. Like, it was amazing. The quality of the talks, you got to know personally a lot of people that you admire in the community, and you see that there are not like these superstar developers and members of the community, that they are folks just like you, and you can approach them and talk about WordPress and other stuff. So it was an amazing experience for me. And one of the talks that we had there was about organizing a meetup on your city. And we went to that one, and during the presentation, I was already like, we have to come up with a name for our WordPress community in our city and stuff like that. And a couple of months later, we had our first meetup, pretty much based on what we learned on that presentation during that WordCamp.
That's cool. I'm hearing in my ear that we need to move the stage so that other people can come on and talk. I really appreciate your talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm going to read a thing here. We want to say thanks to our global sponsors, Cloudways, Elementor, GoDaddy Pro, Green Geeks, Nexus, and Stratic, our multilingual partner, Weglot, and our live captioning sponsors, GiveWP and Paid Memberships Pro. Please be sure to visit their tents and chat with them. You might even win some prizes. Don't forget to get your photo snapped in the photo booth, brought to us by Content Journey and Stratic. And be sure to check out the swag bag, too, for deals and gifts from our sponsors. Also, thanks to our media partners and our micro sponsors. You all make our big orange hearts full.